Right.
So it's like, okay, so basically anything is evidence for ghosts.
Anything.
You know?
Anything. It's anomaly hunting. Anything that's abnormal, yes, that's proof of ghosts.
Just to be clear, if you would like us to leave, can you please let us know?
1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004.
You can make that sound again. Are you okay? Yeah, it's just like, I don't want to be anywhere I'm not wanted. Are you thinking that we should leave? I mean, that was loud and clear.
Rochelle and I asked the question if we were allowed in there. And immediately after I asked that question, we heard this very loud bang.
We're going to gather our things.
To us, that could be a possible answer. So the better thing to do and the right thing to do would be to leave.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, pause. So they completely justified them leaving and not investigating right there. They made an excuse up instead of actually going. And the something you always have to watch for is later descriptions, later explanations, later accounts of the story that happened. Because we watched the video and assuming that it wasn't not edited, it did not happen immediately after she asked the question. There was a gap there. There was a few seconds. I don't know exactly how long. I didn't count it out, but I would assume it was like a good 5 seconds after they asked the question. So it was not immediately after. But words like that, they are trigger words. They're buzzwords that make it sound more intense and more dramatic when you retell things like that.
Isn't this great? They've seen an apparition of an officer in here walking this second floor.
One individual has reported that as he was walking through the officers club building, that he saw an officer dressed individual walk across a second floor balcony, tapping his fingers on the railing as he went, scanning an empty dance floor. And as he completed his walk, he disappeared behind an American flag that we have hanging.
Do you want to grab those and bring them over if you don't mind? So what we're gonna do is have this EMCC camera, infrared camera, and a thermal imaging camera to show all the spectrums and see if we can record the apparition of the officer that people see here. And we're just gonna put Brian out there. If this officer that they've seen in this building is here, Brian's the guy to talk to.
This is Sergeant Murray, and I'm requesting permission to come up onto the second deck, sir. I'm going to proceed up the ladder well here.
Okay, we can pause it just for a second here. So you can notice that the claim is on the second floor. The claim is that the apparition, and yeah, I see your smile. You know where I'm going with this. The claim is that the apparition is seen on the second floor. Second, two, the one above where they're standing. Yet, all of their special fancy cameras, they leave on the first floor, looking up. So, to me, that's dumb, to put it plain and simple. You don't do that. I mean, for me, if I was there, I would definitely set one up like a wide angle on the first floor looking up, you know, to try to take in the entire scene. But most of my stuff that I bring that I think, you know, specifically is geared towards catching ghosts, I would have on the second floor by that flag, you know, because that's where the claim is. That's where the details are. So, I mean, if you don't get the sarcasm that's in my voice already, it's showing that how bad these investigators are, because they're not paying attention to the details of the claim. They're not following through. Pay attention to this part.
The pilots that were in any of those crashes, if you could come up to me, I have this device in my hand. It'll allow me to come as close to you as you want. Holy, I had a temperature and pressure spike. I've had this up here for 30 minutes. It's not done anything.
Okay. So I don't know if you can go back like
Sure.
a few seconds
Yeah.
and look at that. Okay. So they get a big deal that this guy gets all, uppity and excited about a spike that happens with the temperature and the pressure. And when you watch this over and over again, like me, you notice that there is a 0.2 difference in temperature and pressure. That's the
0.2.
spike.
Okay.
It is 0.2. And this particular device, is called a EDI Plus. And it's I looked it up. It measures it's supposed to measure vibration. It's got like a accelerometer in there. It measures temperature. It does humidity, pressure, and EMF. But the temperature, one of the temperature things is that it's designed to set an alarm if it changes 0.1 degree. Which I'm like, why? Why? Because if you bring that close to your body, you can make it change. And if you notice in the scene, he's by a window. He's right by a window. So they're not taking into account the environmental conditions that they're investigating in. And you know what? I'm not even calling it investigating, because that's not what they're doing. They're not taking into account the environmental conditions where they're ghost hunting. Because from that clip right there, they're showing you fundamentally that they are not paying attention to how the devices work, what's going on in the environment. They have no control. They have no baseline. And that's painfully obvious by this clip, that they have no baseline, because 0.2 degrees, big deal. I can sneeze on the thing and make it change 0.2 degrees. And what's that? Is that a demon? Is that a ghost? No, it's not. It's just,
I don't know how precise this particular instrument is. I mean, it sounds like it's not like a mercury thermometer or something, but at the same time, 0.2 degrees is a hard difference to measure.
Yeah. And while it claims to be accurate between plus or minus 1 degree Celsius, between 0 and 65 degrees Celsius, which is 32 to 149 degrees Fahrenheit. But I don't know how accurate that is, because that's the specs off the website.
So if it's accurate within 1 degree Celsius, then it's going to be even worse with Fahrenheit. So you're talking several degrees.
Yes, yeah. It actually says plus or minus 1 degree, not 0.1 degree. Yeah. So there's a problem there.
That could just be error.
Yes, it could be simple error. We're paying attention.
Something flew in front of the camera, from the thermal. Brian, get down here. What? There's something on the camera. Get down here. What the hell is that?
Run away from the thing you're trying to find.
Right. We see something upstairs where you are, but no, come down here.
They're helping people who just...
So far, the spirit com's running. Some of the frequencies are changing at times, which is interesting. It's supposed to stay consistent, but if an entity does use it to speak, you'll start to hear some variations, and we started to hear a little bit of that, which is really interesting.
So one of the things that the guy doesn't mention about this Spirit-Com device that they're using is that there's supposed to be a loop. So in the original design, which I have, you play the tones through a tape recorder. So all the tones were recorded on a tape, and they played it through a tape recorder through speakers. And there was another microphone that would capture those tones and ambient sounds, and then feed it back into the loop and bring it out onto another recorder. And then that would go into another speaker. So this setup here, even though he says it's based on this old technology, he did it wrong. he didn't actually follow the plans and build the right device. So all he's doing is playing tones out of a speaker, which I think are generated from a laptop. And I'm not even sure if he has the right frequencies from the original plans. So I just want to throw that in there.
Something called a Spirit-Com.
So we took this device in, Brian, myself, Kristen, and Rochelle, and we had some pretty interesting results that we want to show you. You're going to hear a series of different tones. Then Kristen comes in, she starts to speak, and you're going to hear a very clear, intelligent response right after her. That's pretty shocking to us.
Where you have this group of people asking you to speak to them. So take your time if you need.
It crashes.
Right.
Wow.
This seems to be a direct response about these crashes.
Yeah, I mean, you can clearly hear crashes.
That was clear.
Yeah.
That was clear as day.
Let me play it again. Yeah.
Where you have this group of people asking you to speak to them.
Crashes. Wow. That's amazing. Mind-blowing.
So that was their most significant evidence. And this has more weight than what you get from this show. And I'll definitely explain. But I mean, they're telling you, first of all, they tell you that the word crashes that they hear is the direct response to the woman that's talking. But if you hear what she says, she's just talking normally and talking about people there. But she's not asking a question. There is no direct response. She did not ask a question. So that kills that right off the bat. I don't like that her segment is not shown. They were there the entire time. And you see them before the commercial break, you see them wrap up and say, this is end of session. We're done. We're going to pack up and stuff and we'll go back and analyze. They're not excited about anything at all. So obviously they didn't hear this, even though they were standing there at the table listening. They obviously didn't hear this at the time, which makes me think it was added in post, because it sounds like your run-of-the-mill EVP. It doesn't sound like what the original Spiritcom allegedly put out.